The fact is, if we don't pass a tax bill, it'll be the single largest tax increase in American history, and that's not something I support. At the same token, I'm not going to just settle for a number that was shoved down our throats by the Ways and Means Committee.
In our amendment, we will ensure the tax cuts continue for everyone making under $1 billion in this country. We had the vote. Every single Democrat voted for this amendment to provide that tax relief, and every single Republican opposed it.
On this very show earlier this week, members of Congress weighed in on the reconciliation process, which is our entire focus tonight. It hit a snag today, as we've been discussing. Here to give us some insight on that, how long the snag might last, former Republican Congressman from Texas, Kevin Brady. Importantly, he served as the chair of the House Ways and Means Committee from 2015 to 2019. Kevin, I'm so glad you joined us. Thanks so much. How are you, sir?
Major, it's great to see you again. Thanks for having me.
So you've seen this play out this week. Tell my audience what to keep an eye on next week, and do you believe in the end Republicans will coalesce and pass this bill with all of its various changes by the end of next week?
Yeah, the short answer is yeah, I'm pretty confident they will. So what to look for? All along, the answer has been look at the savings number for Republicans, because it has to be adequate enough that it unlocks the Senate baseline that allows the president to make more of the tax cuts permanent. It also unlocks the total vote for this bill. And what you're seeing here is, in perspective, on the Budget Committee, each of the Republican committees actually met its full instructions on saving or spending that every conservative, almost all but one, voted for just a month or so ago. Here you have conservatives, some of them saying, well, you reached your goal, but we want you to do it a different way. So the negotiations, Major, are really about, can there adjustments be made that are acceptable to the committee, as well as the entire Republican conference in a number of areas. So I'm pretty confident working through the weekend, they'll be able to pull this back together for the budget vote on Sunday. I think there's a very high chance they get it to Rules Committee that sets the rules of debate by Monday or Tuesday. So yeah, I think they have time to be able to sort of reconcile some of these opinions here and bring the votes together.
Kevin, you know the president well. You know almost everyone in this House Republican conference well. When the president, as he did a couple of weeks ago, said he was open to raising taxes on the wealthy, anyone making more than $2.5 million a year, also said he could be open to changing the carried interest loophole, which basically benefits people in private equity, venture capital, hedge funds. Those are populist things. He leads a populist or more populist Republican Party. Why haven't Republicans taken him up on that offer and made some of these things easier to do with other revenue flows that wouldn't affect the vast majority of their constituents?
Well, I think the answer here is there's an honest disagreement of policy here. Obviously, Republicans in Congress are focused on very pro-growth, pro-competitive innovation policies that drive the economy, more importantly, drive jobs and rising paychecks. And they've got the proof that President Trump's original 2017 bill drove record wage growth in paychecks exactly, and small businesses. So you've got a bit of a disagreement on how best to achieve that. And I think the Republicans are making the wrong calls, including on carried interest, which doesn't benefit a few. Today, about 85% of that capital coming down to Main Street goes to small businesses. And so members of Congress are seeing capital that small businesses need to start up, to grow, to expand, readily available. It's crucial to them. And so it's really just an honest, different view on the value of some of these provisions.
And Kevin, I remember when the definition of the middle class in our country was 250,000. Then it went to 400,000. And as we just heard Brendan Boyle, the ranking Democrat on the Budget Committee, say every Democrat voted to not change the tax rate for anyone making less than $1 billion. So I guess that is expanded now up to $1 billion. They're for that.
Yeah. Well,
is that disingenuous?
I will just tell you, I think it's a bit of baloney here, in the sense he's citing an amendment the Democrats offered during the recent tax debate, just as we did during the Inflation Reduction Act and Build Back Better, to limit tax breaks in those bills to those less than $1 billion, and they vote against that. So I think that's probably more political theater than anything to do with policy.
You know this process very well. You were there front and center in 2017. There's anxiety, I don't know how pronounced it is, among House Republicans that if, in fact, they pass it, as you predicted they will by next week, and the Senate gets involved, this thing will be reshapen in the Senate, and that could be problematic for House Republicans who cast this hard vote, or this vote that they feel is harder than they would prefer. Walk my audience through that process.
Yeah, so, there is a process, and it's much different in the House than the Senate, as I learned in 2017, and then as I chaired the conference committee to work out the differences between the two bills, it was enhanced even further. The bottom line is the Senate, is going to look at these provisions. There's been an awful lot of collaboration behind the scenes between House tax writers and Senate tax writers that I think will show themselves. Will there be some changes, perhaps in the IRA, perhaps in the Medicaid savings, perhaps in other areas? Yes. Are any of them, I think, such great changes that they can't be accepted with negotiation with the House? I hope not. I don't think they will. I think they'll stay, unless I'm reading it wrong, I think they're going to stay on track to finish this by July 4th or sometime in that month.
And the debt ceiling is increased in this legislation. That's super important as a kind of propellant for this legislation, is it not? Because that's kind of an implied deadline.
Yeah, it really is, Major. You're right on there. We expect, or Treasury expects, that sort of that crucial timing happens in August. No one wants to run up close to that. And so, yes, it adds urgency to the timing here. They've always, what I found in 2017 was setting very aggressive timetables was very helpful, trying to pull people together. Reconciliation, taxes, savings cuts, it is a difficult job in the best of circumstances. And now with some days, it feels like a near zero majority in the House, that degree of difficulty is very high. So I think all that's reflected in the work that's being done.
Excellent analysis. You've been through it. You've lived it. You know the politics. You know the policy. Former Congressman Kevin Brady, thanks so much.
Good to see you.